Oh, I was muted one of the things. Too bad. Why does Kesser have the three lines? Because there's three uh, types of mitzvot here. You have the line to the right, which are the positive commandments, mitzvot asay, line to the left, and the negative commandments, and the line in the center, which is connected with the attribute of mercy. So, as a rule, we say the right is chesed, kindness, and left is gevura, severity, and the middle column, the middle row, is what's called tiferes, beauty, harmony, mercy. Okay, so then there's intellect. So it's also three levels of wisdom, like three letters, like the three legs, three lines of the shin. Okay, right, left, and center. The right is chokhmah, like the lightning bolt, the flash of intellect, the idea, before you have it all sorted out. The left line is being understanding, breaking down, elaborating that idea, that lightning flash of genius. And then the middle line is da'as, which means activating, actualizing the idea, bringing it into actuality. Yeah. So then the third thing that is represented by one of the lines of the shin is midas, the attributes, emotional attributes, the emotions. So the right line is kindness and love, chesed. The left is gevura, severity, criticism, awe, and fear. And the central column, again, is tiferes, mercy, caring about others. So these are the three things represented by the three legs or three lines of the shin. The fact that it has three lines, of course, represents the three forefathers. You know, number three is also a recurring theme in Judaism, the three forefathers. But one second, it's also the four mothers, right? The Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah. So there's also a shin that has four lines, four legs, and that is the shin found on the left side of the tefillin that worn on the head by Jewish men, these black boxes containing within them scriptural passages. So the one on the left, the one that goes on the head, the left side has four prongs, the one on the right has three. We know that there's shin and there's sin. Okay, when you write the letter, if there's a dot on the top right, we pronounce that shin, the sh that we were mentioning at the beginning. If the dot's on the left, it's pronounced as sin, sounds like an S once it has a vowel. So what's the difference between the two, shin and sin? So there's a story that the previous Chabad Rebbe, known as the Friedrich Rebbe, he asked his father, who was the Rebbe then, fifth Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, he said, we have two eyes, one nose, and one mouth. So why the two eyes? Why can't it be symmetrical with the one nose and the one mouth? So his father, the Rebbe Rashab, said that the right eye is to look at another Jew, to look at another person, where we see the good, and give it the benefit of the doubt, etc. The left eye is to look at sweets and candies. What does that mean? The right side is chesed, kindness. Left side represents criticism, holding back, restraint. So therefore we find that if you put the shin, the word shin ein resh spells the word shar, means a gate. A gate is big. A tank could go through the gate. A car could go through. But if you take those three letters, okay, and then you switch the dot from the top of the shin, making it into a sin, you get se'ar, which means hair, right? The hairs of your head, the opening of a hair is very, very small. On the one hand, the hair has life, grows. On the other hand, you feel no pain when it gets cut. Yeah. So on the shin is wide, expansive, she'ar, like a gate, wide open gate. The sin, the sayar, represents the constraints, limitations, the limited life force that the hair has. That's why we feel no pain when it gets cut. If you feel pain when they cut your hair, you should speak to somebody, or find another hairdresser, I guess. So again, he's saying when you look at someone else, look at him with your right eye. Look at the potential. Look at him in an expansive way. Look how big he could become, how big he could be. And when you look at candies, extra things, unnecessary things you don't really need, then you should look at those with the left eye, a critical eye. Yeah, and they realize, I don't really need those things. All right. So we spoke about already the four-pronged Shin. And there are actually a number of explanations. What's the difference? Why is there a four-pronged and a three-pronged? So we look at two explanations now. So, okay, the three-pronged Shin, we said, represents the three fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The four-pronged Shin is the four mothers, Sarah, Rachel, Rebecca, and Leah. And then another interpretation, that the three-pronged Shin represents the way the letter Shin is written in a Torah scroll, Sefer Torah. The four-pronged Shin is the way the Shin is in the Ten Commandments. Yeah, in the tablets, the way the letters were engraved in stone. Yeah, because when you engrave the three lines, you get four walls around them. So that's a source, quote unquote, of the four-pronged Shin. The way the Shin is engraved in the tablets of the commandments in stone. And the Lubavitcher explained once that when you have more than one interpretation on one verse, that the interpretations are all connected and complement one another. So the four-pronged Shin, we said, represents the four mothers. So that must be connected to the tablets of the commandments. And the three-pronged Shin, the three fathers, also has to be connected to the mother. So we say like this: the education of a child when he's born, as soon as he's born, is mainly on the mother, right? As the Shelah Kadosh, one of the great rabbis, going back to 2 centuries, 3 centuries, explains that the mother is the one that begins educating the child. As soon as the child is born, she sings to the child, teaches the child to say Moide Ani in the morning, thanking God for returning our soul to us, teach them to say blessings before eating, etc., etc. And these educational qualities of the mother engrave the mind of the child. They never leave him. When the child grows older, then he begins to study with the father, starts to study Gemara, whatever other subject with the child. So what happens is that the education the mother gave him is engraved in his mind forever and ever, just like the letters that were engraved in stone, the tablets of the commandments. However, the education the father gave him might change in the sense that the son could become smarter than the father, and his level of study will be at a much greater level, right? The way the father taught him to study is not necessarily the way he's studying today. So just like the letters of a Torah scroll, technically they could be separated, even erased, God forbid, since the ink and the parchment are two separate entities. Which is so too, the education the father gives his son might not be lasting. Not that the son, God forbid, goes away from Judaism, but that the son's approach might be somewhat different. His way of study and so on, higher level of understanding. But what the mother gives the child, that's engraved like the letters of the tablets of the commandments, engraved in stone. That's something that lasts forever and ever. Okay, so that's the difference between the three-pronged Shin and the four-pronged Shin. Now, there's a fourth kind of Shin, okay? And that is a silent Shin, a Shin that's not pronounced. This is actually very interesting. You know what this is? This in the word is Issachar, right? It's one of the 12 tribes, one of the 12 sons of Jacob. The way it's written in the Torah, there's a Shin that's never pronounced, which always caught my attention. There's many different explanations why we don't read it. Some say you pronounce it the first time you read it. There's a famous Hasidic Rebbe known as the Bnei Issachar, right? It's Issachar, but pronouncing the second Shin or Sin, which is interesting. But an interesting explanation of why the Shin is there, yet it's silent, it's like this. The Jacob had the two that were born one after the other. He had Yisachar and Zevulun. Yisachar was born first, and he had Zevulun. However, Zevulun is always mentioned first when it's time to give him a blessing at the end of Genesis, the book of Genesis, at the end of Deuteronomy. Yeah, at the end of Genesis, when Jacob is blessing his children, at the end of Deuteronomy, when Moses is blessing the tribes, they switch the order, right? They start by who was born first with Reuven, but then when it comes to these two, Issachar and Zevulun, they mention Zevulun first and then Issachar, even though Zevulun was born first. Why? Because Issachar and Zevulun made a deal that Issachar is going to study Torah, and Zevulun is going to get the part of the credit of the Torah study by supporting financially the Issachar, his brother Issachar. So you see that the one that supports, the one that goes to work and supports the one studying Torah is actually greater. Yeah? Because Zevulun is mentioned before when it comes to the blessings. That's a bit of a side point. But connected to this, why is the Shin silent in Issachar? There's an extra Shin that's not pronounced. So again, they made a deal that Zevulun is going to go to work and Issachar will study, and part of the reward of study will go to Zevulun. So Zevulun had 50% stake, had 50% of the shares of Issachar's Torah study. So he got half the profit. So that's why you have a silent Shin. Issachar means yesh zachar, there is reward. But the second Shin is silent, as we said. Why? Because Issachar was really a silent partner in the business of Zevulun. So it's not pronounced. Also, the silent Shin alludes to the two aspects of the Torah, the revealed Torah, the real aspects of the Torah, and the hidden aspect. The hidden aspect is Kabbalah, Hasidic thought. As we know, Kabbalah was only revealed in the last couple of centuries by the Arizal, etc. So the silent Shin alludes to the hidden aspects of the Torah. Also, the word Issachar, as we said, is Yesh Zachar, there is reward. Yesh has a numerical value of 310. The Shin is 300. The Yud is 10. You have 310. And we know the Mishnah tells us at the end of the tractate of Uktzin that there's 310 worlds of pleasure. Why only 310? We know we spoke about 620. There's the concept of the 613 commandments of the Torah and the 7 of the rabbis instituted, the 7 laws of Noah. Yeah. So why do we say there's 310 worlds of divine pleasure? Because we only have half of those 620. Issachar, who is learning the Torah, and the whole Torah is 620, 613 commandments of the Torah plus the 7 instituted by the rabbis. But Issachar is giving half to his brother Zevulun. So what's half of 620? It's 310. Yeah, so that 310 he gives to Zevulun. So that's the meaning of the word Issachar and the silent Shin. And God willing, next week we'll speak about the gematria numerical value of Shin, and we'll finish the class on Shin. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Rabbi Chernitsky, director of Chabad of Newfoundland. It's been a pleasure. God willing, we'll try to have a Torah class tomorrow on Parsha. So stay tuned and check